Welcome.
We are back. Welcome back to the Free Giants Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We got your local host here. Jesus here, Ez's here, Kamal's here,
in the building.
and we have an illustrious guest for you guys.
Yes.
Man. We are super honored. We are super excited to bring you guys a real legend. A legend.
Listen, a legend is an understatement. First of all, he is a hip hop pioneer. He was viral before viral was a thing.
You know, I was thinking that before I got here.
He was viral before viral was a thing. He was a trendsetter before there was trend setting.
All right, and let's get to the people. Let's give it to him straight, man. We have the one and only Crazy Legs in the building.
Hey, what up?
Yes, the Bronx legend himself.
Good morning, afternoon. What time is this air?
We drop in the afternoon, but it's early morning right now.
Yes. Thank you.
I think first and foremost, I gotta make sure I say thank you so much for taking the time out to come out.
Pleasure.
You know, and I've done my history. I've done my research. I've seen a lot of your interviews, and I noticed that you really are a man of the people, and you showing up for us is like really big. I realize you really do give back. This is part of the reason why you're here in the first place is to promote a lot of stuff that you've been doing for the community. Yeah. So we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts from the Free Games Podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, seriously, we're very humbled to share the stage with you, and it really shows.
It's interesting because even like on the give back side, even what I choose to wear, I try to make sure that when I go out there, like I'm supporting the National Hip Hop Museum.
Right.
I'm supporting an artist, a Puerto Rican artist, my man Sen too.
Yes.
So I always even like try to make sure that I'm supporting underground brands and people from the hood coming up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
well, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Just judging by all the things I see you doing in the community. You were working in Puerto Rico during when they were going through a really hard time.
Multiple times.
Right, multiple times. Right. But and I know you coming from the Bronx. Like I want to get into that a little bit. Like what part of the Bronx are you from? For people who don't know. And I mean, I want to get started with your whole beginning of hip hop because I know you started.
Well, you know, being from the Bronx in the 70s is a difficult situation because if you grew up in the hood, there was a lot of instability. You know, Black and Latino people were always being evicted, moving from place to place. So asking someone where they were from the Bronx who grew up, who was born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s is a difficult one because by the time I was 18, I had 10 different addresses.
Wow.
Which is like super unstable for a child.
Of course.
And I always heard of like those documentaries, like the Bronx was burning.
Yep.
And you see those old footages of like the Bronx burning. Right.
I lived it.
But it's beautiful though because from that mud came something as beautiful as hip hop. You know, something that was birthed in the Bronx. You know, and breaking, which is an art form that you actually helped make global. You know, so it's dope to see how from the rumble can come something as beautiful as what we have now, which is 50 years later, we're saying on hip hop.
It's crazy because if you look at the lack of creativity right now, there's a lot of entitlement out there. And it's sad to say that we have to go through struggle before we come up with something dope and that's really representative of our voice and struggle. Yeah. You know, if you look at what you know, the civil rights movement in that time period, the great music that came out of that period, then you know, the music that came out of the 70s and 80s and now we're at a point where, you know, you have people out here who have so many hustles and grifts that they're able to make money in so many different lanes and not really be creating something that's representative of a voice that would identify a need for change.
That's a big one. So you know, nowadays you don't really see as far as like grassroots as far as you're concerned growing up and having to grow up in that grassroots. Now it's more like a transition where people have different lanes, but they're more comfortable.
I think the best era for me in terms of music was probably the early 90s. I feel like that's I see that as the jazz era of hip hop because you had gangster rap, you had conscious rap, you had
the ladies
people who were just the parties, the party vibes, and you had the lyricism, you know, and you had that pop stuff too. So everyone was living in the 90s. Now it's like, you got extreme underground, and then you have extreme commercial.
Yes, extreme.
I think one of the biggest differences is that, I know the beginning of hip hop, it was like super important to be different. Like you couldn't have a similar style as somebody else. That would be considered biting. That would be frowned upon.
Well, here's the thing: if you're a young person, and that's your mentality because you're trying to establish your lane and you're trying to be different from everyone else, you're gonna take it personally. And feel like, yo, they biting my, they biting my shit. But, when you look at it from the perspective of me in 1989 and my boy coming up to me and saying, yo, Legs, what's up? Rock steady for the 90s, you should do it. And I was like, nah, what am I gonna do? Come out here and battle people doing my moves? And he was like, yo, Legs, you worried about the wrong thing. You gotta look at it like, you created something that the world started to do, and that came from us. And I started to look at it differently, and I also know that I stole moves too.
Of course.
But the idea of stealing moves back then was about how can I put my thumbprint on this, kind of flip it a little. Every move was approached. If you were somebody who was on creative and wanted to be one of the best. It was about remixing everything.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Putting your own flavor and spin on it.
Yeah, it's almost like paying homage too. Also, like in a sense where it's like
we didn't look at it that way. We just wanted we just wanted to battle that same person we stole the move from.
Okay.
Set them up. And then throw the move at them better than what they do.
It's a game. It's a game within a game type of thing.
That competitiveness in hip hop, I feel like now that we just had this crazy battle between Drake and Kendrick.
Is it really a battle though?
See, I think it's healthy though to have that competitiveness in hip hop, and I miss that aspect because I feel like even us when we were growing up, like there was always a constant like back and forth between artists. Like you had like 50 and Ja Rule, or you might have had Nas and Jay-Z, or there was always.
But not one of them saw each other on stage for a battle.
No, and that was
for me. I came up when battles were head to head on stage,
on the spot.
It had nothing to do with records. Zero to do with records.
Right.
If you look at Kumo D versus Busy B, if you look at Cold Crush versus Fantastic Five, or if you look at events that used to happen at Harlem World, which was a club back in the days, and you had what was called the MC convention. And the MC convention was, you got up there, you rocked, and whoever was the best was the best.
Best person that day.
At that time, you're looking at maybe, if 100 records existed in the rap game, that was it.
Wow. Yeah.
So the battle was still the battle.
Now, being a creator of a move like the windmill, or like even like that blowing up, or you saying that you seeing other guys use your moves, like was there a coming to terms moment you realized, wow, I made it? Or was it like, I feel like if that happened to me, I feel like everything happened so fast where you don't really know what's going on. Then you realize, okay, this is what it is. Now I appreciate it. Was there like a moment where you was like, okay, now I can appreciate it, when initially you maybe didn't have that reaction?
So I would say the first time I recognized that there was some fame was probably 1983. So you figure I started dancing in 77. And fine, we had our ghetto props and all that shit. We moving around.
Local legends already.
And doing it like that. But in 83, when Flashdance came out, I was in Hawaii for a gig, and this typical white dude with like the beige pants and the blue shirt, the Dockers, looking like it's dress down day at work and in the stock market. I'm sitting by the water, and he was like, "Hey, didn't I see you on the David Letterman show?" And when that happened, I was like, oh shit, I got some fame over here.
Like I'm in Hawaii and people are recognizing me is insane. That has to be a surreal moment.
Random white dude coming up to me and saying something. And then, it was something that we had to consider. I felt like I had to consider more when we were performing, because a lot of times when we performed, we didn't really Like, we wanted to put a dope show together because we had to just show up right. We weren't trying to hit the floor messed up and not have a show. But we never, I can't say that we really performed for the crowd when we got down. Yeah. We just did what we did because
at that point,
we didn't give a shit about the crowd, man. We didn't even know them.
Right.
We used to dancing in ciphers and battling and stuff like that.
On a cardboard box laid out. Like,
I mean, not even that, because cardboard was just for practice.
Right.
You know, we battled on concrete.
Wow, that's insane.
We had the scars to prove it too. But I think when that 90s situation came around, and I decided to start throwing events and start performing again. We started throwing the Rocksteady anniversary up at 98th Street in Amsterdam in Rocksteady Park. And now we have purpose and understanding of like, okay, we're going to do something to celebrate people who passed away in hip hop and contributed, but didn't really come up as like, you know, the Right On magazines, Word Up and The Source were coming out, and some of these people passed away. So it's like, all right, well, let's celebrate them in our own way, because there was no such thing as hip hop press back then. Right. So I started throwing events, and you know, it was at a point when I was educated on the idea that we have a tool that we can use to you know, be successful, uplift people, educate people, things like that. But at the same time, I also know I recognize it as a tool that it could be for destruction as well.
You know, that's there's definitely a fine line there. I wanted to go back to something that you said. I want to commend you and thank you and honor you for getting the Hip Hop Pioneer Award from The Source.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a long time ago.
And you know, hey,
that was a crazy day too.
I can imagine. I mean,
it almost got violent back there.
Yeah, what? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Hip hop was a real like shady. There was a time in hip hop where it was like scary.
It was that's really the rap industry. So I'll tell you what happened.
Bring us the story
because
Rocksteady
DJs, which is Invisible Scratch Pickles, like Mixmaster Mike, DJ Qbert, and DJ Apollo, turntablists. They were like the hot shit at the time. Of course, you had the Executioners, the Rock Raider in them, but you know, Rocksteady DJs were really making a lot of noise because they were performing like they were like a symphony on the turntables, and they did the sound check. And this isn't to stir up any beef or anything. This is so long ago. And they had this Peter Piper routine that they would do. Now they did it in sound check. Nobody said anything. But that night, Run DMC was going to perform. So when the show started at the Source Awards, and it was I don't know if it was Paramount Theater. Yeah, it was Paramount Theater at the Garden.
Yeah, okay.
And so Run pulled the plug on them because they started doing the Peter Piper. And of course, I mean, there is the golden rule of like, you know, DJs don't play the songs of the artists that are going to perform that same night.
Right. Yeah.
But this is different because it's the concert and all that stuff. And it's a different kind of production.
Right.
And I ran up from the audience backstage and just raised hell. And I was just going back and forth with Run. and you know, people got between us, but I was ready to throw joints with him. And, you know, I just felt like at that time, like, yo, these dudes are from the West Coast. Had they been someone else who was more of a physical threat to them, probably wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah.
And those are my dudes, so I had to go have their back and just run up there in the middle of the show. But whatever, man. It's nothing.
It happened a while ago and everything.
Yeah. But and I don't even know why I brought that shit up.
Yeah, we talking about the when you got the
the violence. Yeah.
That was occurred.
You talking about the award you got. Well,
but the award became secondary, you know, at that point. But I also feel like any award, hip hop award that I get, actually any award I get, I don't like to just take the credit for myself, because when I think in hip hop, no one does it alone. You know, you know, even if you're in the studio, you gotta have an engineer.
Right.
You know, so if you're dancing, you know, sometimes you need a choreographer, or you know, there's just certain things that go along. And if you're battling and you got your crew, you got your crew.
Right.
Yeah.
And you pick up stuff from them.
The people on the other side, you ain't dope unless someo's whack in front of you, unless you smoke somebody.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So when people talk about, everyone's whack, I'm like, yeah, but you're dope. And if they weren't as whack as they were, I couldn't see you as dope
Sunny
as
days
you
wouldn't
are.
feel so good if it wasn't for rain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't have night without day.
Yeah.
I mean,
So let them live their whackness and you shine.
So I want to backtrack a little, okay? Because you say you started dancing in 1977.
Yeah,
and
around
then,
77.
And so I wanted to say, like, around what time did you start, like, touring and stuff? Because obviously dancing took you to places like Hawaii,
81.
the David Letterman show, like that. I know that had to be surreal. Like at that point, like, did your parents or did your family realize, like, oh, I'm making money. I'm gonna make a career out of this. I'm gonna do something with this bigger than just dancing on the street.
And being on the first hip hop tour.
Yeah, well, so the first tour I went on wasn't a hip hop tour, but there were elements of hip hop in it, and that was in 1981.
The New York tour?
It was called no. It was before that. It was like it's a year, maybe a year and a half before that. It was called the Kitchen Tour. There's a organization in Soho, or actually over by Canal, called the Kitchen Center for Performing Arts. And we had done a show there. It was the first curated show ever done, and it was produced.
Wow!
It was curated by Henry Chalfant and produced by Tim Carr, who became a big record exec. I think it was I don't know if it was Sony or RCA, one of the big companies, and they curated this show. It had rock-steady crew, and we used to divide ourselves up into two crews to perform a battle because there weren't really many crews at that time. A lot of people had stopped breaking. And then you had Fab Five Freddy on the mic, and then and Ramelzi on the mic, and then you had a brother named DJ Spy from Brooklyn who was on turntables, and T Kid, graffiti writer. So it was the first time a curated hip hop show had happened.
Wow.
And this is still before it was called hip hop.
Yeah.
So it was the name of the show, and a lot of people confuse this with the television show that came out a few years later. But this was the first time the show, anything was called graffiti rock as far as a presentation. And so the crazy thing is that a white man is the person who put that show together.
That's how it works. I mean, that's also like hip hop.
But he had our best interest in mind.
Your best interest in
I feel like hip hop it encompasses so many different cultures, which is also what makes it so dope that everybody can feel like part of it. And like you were there literally as it was being, like you said, the word hip hop didn't even exist.
It existed, but it wasn't used as an umbrella term.
Right. And I know Love Bar Starsky has been like credited for invented the word hip hop.
No, because yes, it dates back before Love Bug. Because I mean, there's a couple of stories. You have one, and of course, I wasn't there, and this is just, secondhand, third-hand information. They were talking about Keith Cowboy from the Furious Five, who was going into the military, and then and I guess this was at some event, and they were making jokes about, we're gonna be up there like hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's how that started.
That's absolutely crazy, and I'm glad you said hip hop as an umbrella term, because I feel like, especially in today's generation, today's day and age, is that we don't see hip hop as an umbrella term. We just see it as rap.
Yes,
but there's a lot more elements to hip hop. So
breaking.
Can you break down the different elements of rap, and it's not just hip hop. Yeah. It's not just rap,
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it's the culture. First of all, culture is not just one element of life.
Yes.
You can't just say rap and that's culture.
Right.
No, it's because even within rap, you have subgenres of styles of rap.
Of course.
Drill, trap, whatever.
Yeah.
Emo.
Seriously.
But you have breaking, graffiti, DJing, MCing, and then a lot of people like to say knowledge as the fifth element, but before knowledge was introduced as the fifth element, we used to say beatboxing was the fifth element of hip hop. Up until like around 90, 91, we would, saying beatboxing, and that was from maybe around 83 to 91. Yeah. It was beatboxing, and then one day we were at this Zulu Nation meeting, and Bambaataa comes in and into the meeting and says he wants to make knowledge the fifth element, because he felt like we should be uplifting ourselves and not just only be about the arts, but also make sure that education
is a part of it.
But I just think that should have been a sixth element, and not just get like Chuck beatboxing out there, because you had people like Greg Nice, Buffy from Fat Boys, Dougie Fresh, all these people who are making a lot of noise doing their thing, and you can't just dismiss that. But Bam made a lot of decisions that were just kind of like authoritarian, with good intention when it came to the culture.
Of course. And speaking of hip hop, I saw that you performed the 50th reunion of hip hop with Fat Joe in Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium.
The fact that it was, you're from the Bronx and you were able to, I know, when hip hop actually started has been a debate, but the fact that you were able to perform in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, it's real full circle moment. It's a real moment for you. And what do you make of that moment? Being able to do that.
It was wild, man, because number one, I'm thinking like, I'm already done with dancing. So then Joe's like, yo, I need you on stage.
It's only right.
I'm like, damn, man, I'm going to have to prepare, man, because I wasn't in shape. Right. So I trained for several months to dance for 2 minutes.
Right, yeah.
Because I did that at the age of 57. So body ain't what it used to be.
Yeah.
You get one and done, maybe 2 or 3. And you're good.
I've seen the movements, and I'm like, I don't know how you like the knees, everything. I'm like, this is nothing short of athleticism, though,
man,
for sure.
It's painful. But the thing is that as a kid, I wanted to be a boxer or a baseball player. Right. I used to go to a place called Morris Park Athletic Club in the Bronx, in the neighborhood that I lived in, and a bunch of us in the neighborhood were supposed to go to the Junior Olympics.
Wow.
And I come from a family of 6 kids, single parent, home, and I didn't have that $12, $14 for the registration of the Olympics. I don't know what it costs now.
That's crazy.
So I watched everyone else go, and of course, to be in the Little League, and you have, you're a single mom, you're on welfare and all stuff. How are you going to get all the kids in Little League and all these community or social activities? There's no money for that. So I ended up gravitating towards breaking, and it came to me naturally. And I stuck with it. But to be able to close out my career as a dancer on the stage, one of the stages that I first wanted to be on in the first place.
That's full circle. That is full circle.
Yeah. To be able
crazy.
So I owe that to Fat Joe. Because he's the one that put me on for that. But I do have mixed feelings about the presentation of the whole lineup and what that really represented. And I stayed quiet last year because I wasn't trying to rain on anyone's parade.
Of course.
Especially when it comes to the actual 50th and the debate of that. So when I saw rap, pioneer groups like Soul Sonic Force, Curtis Blow, Cold Crush Brothers, and all these other people jumping on stage, when there's almost no one in the audience, people are still trickling in, it's early. I'm like, damn, man.
Not doing homage.
I knew I was going on more prime time because it's Fat Joe. He's the more relevant one. But I felt like, wow, they could have done something different or something better for the relevance of these pioneers and not just throw them on and not pay homage properly. And that's why even with what I'm trying to do, well, not trying, but with what I'm doing with Puerto Rock Steady, PRS Fest on August 31st in Paterson, New Jersey at the Hinchcliffe Stadium, it's, I'm trying to get these collabs. So we're going to have Cold Crush Brothers and Big Daddy Kane perform together as a unit.
Wow, that's amazing.
And we're trying to see who we're gonna try match up Melly Mel with.
Right.
You know, or, and have some situations like that. And we got Moni Love coming through, and I'm not gonna say some other names. We're still trying to lock it in.
Yeah.
But even get them up there with some of the newer generation, like true lyricists, MC
I like that.
females, whatever, on stage to rock with them and bridge the gap, so that it doesn't just have to be, throw on the people that everyone doesn't know anymore at the beginning. No, let's put them on throughout and get the people to get to know them.
I like that. I like how you bridge the gap with what you saw in the 50th to where, okay, how can I improve or do this a little differently? With the own thing you're throwing in. And I was going to ask about the Rocksteady crew, a party with a purpose. And
Porter Rocksteady, it's not the Rocksteady crew. PRS Fest. So here's the thing: Porter Rocks was a slang back in the days in the '80s. People would be like, "Yo, what do you Porter Rock?" Like Puerto Rican. And then Rocksteady crew, to honor the history of the crew, but it's Porter Rocksteady. And to make it short, PRS Fest.
Yeah.
How that come to fruition as far as it is today?
Oh, I was in Puerto Rico. A bunch of us were in Puerto Rico. Like my family was there. My boy D-Stroy was there. A whole bunch of us were hanging out in Puerto Rico, having a good time. And we went to this beach that's close to my house, and I saw Smash Mouth performing there. And, I'm thinking to myself, I'm already kind of tired of doing the Rocksteady anniversary. I wasn't that motivated. So I was like, I could do something down here and contribute to the economic development of my people. So I started figuring out, like, all right, well, if I could do 15,000 on a pier, and start getting the people to be part of a destination event, that might be cool.
Yeah.
So, did that for 9 years. Last year, we did some events, some pop-up events in New York for the 50th. But what I wanted to do was make sure that as my contribution to hip-hop for the 50th was to document and preserve the stories of Latinos who have been pioneers or legends in hip-hop, and have contributed, and just get their story out and make sure that it's something that will eventually go into the Cornell Hip Hop Collection and be preserved.
That's insane, because I really wanted to touch on that too. So there's a lot of people who debate were Latinos included in the creation of hip hop, were they there from the beginning? And when we have legends like yourself speaking on it, it's like, yeah, how could you even argue that? I saw Fat Joe defending that, and they were like, how could you argue that? Like, it's been nothing but Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and black people all through the Bronx the entire time since the 60s.
Yeah, it's not like we didn't live there.
Right, exactly. It's like there's no argument, but a lot of people tend to try to have that debate, and then it's like, hey, you have one of the pioneers of breaking. It's like there's no way to argue that. But
the people who are arguing it, first of all, what's their agenda? Second of all, how old are they? Should they even be having the conversation? Right. Number three, where are they from geographically to understand the nature of the relationships between Black and Latino people in New York? Yeah, I'm sure it's the same in Patterson.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So a lot of people outside of the tri-state area for a very long time didn't understand that dynamic. How, it's like, my dude, like, we got arrested together. We went to school together.
We fought together.
We met girls together. We partied together. When I grew up, growing up, I would hear salsa in my house, but I would also hear Barry White.
Right, that's me. That's me in my house. And I jump in his mom's car, his aunt's car. Yeah, and I could be listening to Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose. Like, I could listen to damn near anything. Like,
and then there are certain people who have, and look, can every single thing on this planet be traced back to Africa? Yeah, absolutely. But then when we're talking about context, and you try to split hairs to the point of being absolute, it's like, come on, man. Like,
I totally agree with that.
It's divisive.
It's very divisive, and the fact that the tribalism amongst minorities, and I don't really play into that. At the end of the day, I consider people who are Latino, Latina. I consider them to be black. It's just they were just dropped off on a different part.
I mean, the slave trade was running right through Puerto Rico.
That's what I'm saying. That was the first stop.
This is what people don't understand. And this is where you can split hairs. Is first of all, what makes a Puerto Rican? Multiple European countries, Tainos, which were originally dark skinned.
Yep. Right.
And then Africans who were brought through the slave trade. Right. Even within the slave trade, when slaves would escape, they were embraced by the native Tainos.
Yes.
And that's why when when Spaniards hear Puerto Ricans speak Spanish, they try to criticize us as if we're not speaking proper Spanish. It's like, no, we are made up of all these people, and some of these words came along with it.
Right.
And, we are not you. We are Caribbean people. We don't dance like you. We don't eat the same food as you.
At all.
So I always have this issue because a lot of ignorance caused a lot of people, whether black or Latino, to reference Latinos as Spanish people.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, yo, go to Spain. And,
it's not the same.
And when you realize what Spaniards are like culturally and how they live, sometimes, and unless they have Moorish heritage.
Yes, correct.
Which my great grandmother was a Moor.
Wow.
So
that's actually amazing.
That's my hair grows into an afro.
That's actually amazing.
People don't know about the Moors.
Yeah. So and then my great grandmother, my father's side, was one of the last Tainas.
Wow.
So
that's a blessing to trace that.
I have that and celebrate that. But a lot of people don't understand. They reference, I don't call myself Spanish.
Same.
Yeah,
I refuse. And they're fine. Whatever. They did a great job at divide and conquer and all this other stuff.
That's exactly what it is.
Look at each other sideways when, even Puerto Ricans who were born on the island compared to Puerto Ricans who were born outside the island, it's divisive.
Yeah.
And I heard this one woman a couple of years ago at this panel discussion in Miami. She was saying Puerto Ricans need to decide what they want to do as a population. Do they want to be 3 million on the island, 5 million everywhere else, or do you want to be 8 million together?
That's powerful.
What are we doing?
That's very powerful. Yeah, I don't debate with the divisiveness and the tribalism.
And you know what? If there was a race war, come on, man.
Right. You know what side we gonna end up on.
Ain't no white person looking at me like we want legs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's funny. My brother used to say something real similar to that. Like, listen, man. Like, if this all went to hell and this is a race war, trust and believe we're gonna be on this side. We're not gonna be on their side. Like, they wouldn't accept us on their side.
I wouldn't feel safe.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's not to take away, because at the end of the day, we all need each other. Like,
absolutely.
The majority of hip hop's fan base is white when you think about it. Truth be told, what? I said the majority of hip hop's fan base is white. If you think about it from a number standpoint, we are a minority no matter how. Just from the numbers. From the numbers. You know what I'm saying? When an album sells 1 million copies, majority of that is going to the suburban kids and the white families and just other races and cultures. So it's like we all need each other at the end of the day. It's really strive. If we couldn't sell 15,000 tickets at Madison Square Garden and 80% of the people in there are probably white, or 60, 70%.
We need to start supporting each other more on the economic side.
Absolutely.
Right. And everyone wants everything for free.
And everyone wants a discount. When people look like us, we want to hook up the discount. But if somebody moves into your neighborhood that doesn't look like you, you're not expecting that.
Right.
Yeah. We don't go to the Gucci store expecting a discount. But when your friend has a brand, it's like, oh, let me get the hoodie for free. I'll post it. It's like, no.
If your boy opens up a coffee shop and charges $8 for a coffee, you're gonna be upset. But if an outsider comes in and makes it all fancy and gentrifies it, you pay
Starbucks.
$8.
Yeah, nah, I ain't paying $8 for no coffee, bro. You know, it's crazy because there's certain things that people say, oh, that's a great price considering where we are. Like, no, it's not a great price. Yeah. And this neighborhood shouldn't cost that much anyway.
Yeah. But
So.
that's how that works. It's like gentrification. They people figure out a way to up everything, and it works. I've seen it. I've been watching it happen, especially out here in New Jersey.
In real time.
I mean, listen, you going to Patterson. Patterson is changing really quick right in front of our eyes. Like they're putting money into there, and they're moving people in and out, and it's moving. And I don't know if it's for the better or the worse. I know the most important thing is making things safe. So
I know that there are people of color in some important positions in Patterson.
Sure.
And just like in preparation for the festival, you know, the calls are very diverse. And that's been very refreshing.
That's wonderful.
I mean, and one thing about like Hinchcliffe Stadium, where you guys are hosting the PRS festival, it's they're having the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be there.
There's a museum.
Right, the museum is there, and like that's so dope because people don't know like Larry Doby is from Patterson,
right?
And he's basically the Jackie Robinson of the American League, because there's a National League, American League. So he was the second black player to ever be in the major leagues, and he's from Patterson, New Jersey.
People need to go check out that museum.
Yeah,
it's open now.
Oh wow,
it's up. It's up.
I was out there last year for a football game. I didn't know it was open already.
It's dope.
Wow, I definitely got to go check that out.
You got to go there and peep it out. It'll give you some pride.
Yeah, Patterson has a whole lot of history too that's real underrated and
a lot of people. We were speaking off camera that a lot of people from the area don't really know the history about the area.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And it is very unfortunate how there's a disconnect there. How you grew up in an area your entire life, but you don't really know the history, the background of the area that you're living in. You know what I mean?
And it's sad because, you know, when it comes to any people who come from a history of colonization. A lot of that colonization led to the destruction of our culture, heritage, information, archives, for the sake of mind control. And, you know, you remove legacy, you also remove pride.
Yeah.
So if people learn about go to that museum and understand what's there. Wow. You know, learn about like what's at the different hip-hop museums or different collections that maybe African American Museum has, Cornell University has, and see what's there. So even for me, most of my archives are at Cornell University. And the reason for that is I was looking at everything and all the faces of color in there. And especially because there were a lot of Latinos there, and I noticed that people were trying to like remove Latinos from the history, but I got the receipts.
Right.
So
I was there.
I wanted to make sure that for the sake of legacy, research, pride, that information that I had, which was really well kept, was somewhere so that people can go there, research, enjoy it. You know, maybe rent it out. It goes on display somewhere, and because. You know, it cements, you know, our history and you know, again, pride and legacy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's huge.
When it comes,
but let me tell you, I cried like a baby when I let go of it. I had these bins, and I've been keeping them pretty well preserved for someone who's not an archivist.
Yeah.
And when it left my house, I literally just laid down on my girl's chest and cried.
Damn.
Because I was I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize. I knew the importance of putting it somewhere for all
everyone
of us.
else. Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't realize how important it was for me.
Until
lugging it around, you know,
I can only imagine.
from my first flyer to every like almost every first article that came out on hip hop.
That's amazing.
Damn, I'm excited. I actually got to go check that out. My brother actually went to Cornell, and now I'm thinking I got to go check that out. Wow, like that's insane. Because
my son went to Cornell too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's insane. But it's crazy, like just to think like where hip hop has gone from where it started, and now it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
And you know, we got museums and stuff going up now. And I remember being a kid, one of my favorite things about hip hop was the dancing. I used to sit in front of the TV and try to do the windmill, try to do all that stuff. Like it's crazy to just be sitting down with you. So I just want to reiterate again, man, we really appreciate you being able to come up here and share us information, because you're like a walking museum yourself. In the knowledge that you have. You know?
Really?
I was gonna buy a shirt the other day that said museum quality. Like, no, I'm gonna look old.
Now, so now you did mention the Olympics. I'm hearing rumors or so that breakdancing might come to the Olympics.
Nah, well, breaking, and I don't personally call it breakdancing, and the reason for that is because the word breakdancing came from a British woman who used to be our manager.
Oh, yeah.
And she actually misspoke. So we only called it breaking, b-boy and b-girl, and rocking, going off, stuff like that. And even the Olympics doesn't list it as breakdancing. They actually listen to us on that aspect of things, and they only refer to it as breaking.
That's dope.
I didn't even know that. Thank you for letting me know.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, but to this point,
what?
It will be in the 2024 Paris Olympics.
That's
but
about that.
And when it was being considered for the U.S. for 2028, it lost out to, from what I was told, to cricket and other disciplines. And it's kind of whack because, it's like breaking didn't have the money behind it. There was no financial support in a way that really helps us sustain something that comes from our own backyard, our own people. And, we lost out to something that was created in another country. And the thing is like, I'm sorry, but where were the hip hop moguls and the people who have deep pockets, who could have,
push for this more.
Get financially behind it and make sure that they, I first of all, a lot of these people are full of shit. They say hip hop and they really just mean rap. They say for the culture, they really just mean for the check,
for the money.
And then when it comes down to them and having to cut a check, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm not that hip.
Right. Maybe I'm not that true to the soil.
But then you look at other people supporting things that came from somewhere else, and you see that go to the Olympics, and it's like, so what's really the deal? Is it because it's created by Black and brown people? Like, and I don't want to imply it's racism behind it, because I know that money talks.
Right. Yeah.
But
100%.
if money talks, there were enough people who spoke about this publicly, for enough people who claim that they're down with hip hop, to have it on their radar and be like, yo, how can I support this? Not one of them stepped up.
Damn, yeah, that is crazy.
I don't know any rap artist, producer, DJ who said, yo, we're dropping a check. We're going to support these dancers and make sure that their journey towards the Olympics is a smooth journey. They could pay their rent, they could get their meal programs, their training, and they can make these national and national qualifiers, or travel to another country for a qualifier, and make the path better.
Yeah, create the path for it.
Just hearing you explain like the logistics of how that would work, it's like, wow, it really is just about having to put some funding behind it.
Yeah,
putting the right voices behind
politics.
it. Yeah, it's the politics, the things you don't hear about. You just think, oh, okay, they passed up on breaking in the U.S. for 2024, but it'll be in Paris Olympics. But that is an issue for you got these giant artists that have the power, that have the funds to make things happen, and you didn't hear a peep, like you said, not a word.
Here's an example. And my power is limited compared to, the platinum selling artists and all that stuff. People who, it's a difference for me as a dancer.
Yeah.
So my thing was like, okay, well, how can I exercise my power in a way that can be beneficial to any of these dancers? So I was kind of lobbying to get artists or whoever to contribute. Even when Fat Joe asked me to perform on stage, I said, yo, but I actually introduced Joe to his cousin. His cousin was one of the people who was on the path to the Olympics. His name is B-Boy Gravity.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right, well, Joe reached out to me. I'm like, all right, well, we got to have your cousin with me on stage, because, number one, kind of passing of the torch. Number two, let my platform be his platform. Because if the Olympics isn't going to push them, and they don't have anyone pushing them in the hip hop world, the bigger picture hip hop world, and I have that a doorway into that. Let me be the one to push the narrative. And Joe was like, yo, bet, let's do it, and turn it into a moment. and that was good. It benefited B-Boy Gravity as well.
And that just speaks to who you are and what I've been seeing you doing these past years. And like you're doing this big giveaway at the PRS Festival. Like you're, like I said, you're truly a man of the people. And as far as you want to give back, you making a conscious effort to give back, even though there's plenty of other like art, like you said, platinum selling artists that could be doing the same. And it's like, now you stayed true to what this is right here, and it's feeding the community and giving back, giving opportunities.
Right.
Like not necessarily monetarily. It's like, we're gonna take B-Boy Gravity, we're gonna put him on stage, the biggest stage he's probably ever been on, with real legends as yourself and Fat Joe.
57,000
right
people
at Yankee Stadium. It's like,
Yankee Stadium.
That's not a light thing to just look over. Like that's not something to just look over. Like that's dope, man.
But let me tell you, that day, the day before, we're doing rehearsal, and I'm thinking to myself, it's pouring, it's like a monsoon out there, and rain's flying sideways, not even down.
At the stadium.
Nasty outside.
So, the stage is getting wet, and I'm looking out, I'm like, damn, last time I was here was when Bad Bunny was performing. And I was
I remember that.
I was thinking about, wow, the solidarity that was in that stadium was amazing. It made me think of Bad Bunny as like a cultural revolutionary. And I was thinking, damn, like, with Latinos kind of getting shitted on over the past several years for not being, people trying to discredit contributions and creativity, I need to do something for Latinos, because there's only a couple of Latinos that performed that day.
Right.
And so I'm like, I need to get the biggest flag I can find, Puerto Rican flag. And you know what? There's a lot of Dominicans out there, so let's get it sewn up with Puerto Rican one side, Dominican on the other side. And I couldn't get a flag anywhere until an hour before I had to go in the stadium. A friend of mine from Jersey, actually.
Shout out Jersey.
My homegirl, Brooklyn Storm, she rolled up with the flag with the right color blue.
Right.
Not the colonizer dark blue. Wrinkled, no flagpole, nothing. She gave it to me, and I'm like, all right, cool. Now I got to get this shit steamed. Now I got to find a pole. And it's like almost, we're going on in an hour. I'm running out of options. And this guy comes in doing wardrobe. I'm like, yo, can you steam this flag? And he was nice enough to do it. But I still had no flagpole. So I'm like, all right, man, fuck it. We're gonna have to just fucking do this shit ghetto style. I'm gonna find the first Latino out here who works for the stadium. I don't know who it's gonna be. And I tell him, man, yo, come on, we're gonna go find somebody that works here. They're gonna help us. As soon as I walk out, I see this Latino brother. I don't know what his background is. I mean, shit, he could have been he could have been Guyanese.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, my man, are you Latino? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, dope. I'm like, yo, man, I got a flag in there that needs to be waved on stage. Like, I need a flagpole or whatever. He's like, all right, man, I got you. I know who you are. You crazy legs, man. You chased my uncle or my brother out of botanical gardens back in the days. I'm like, oh, man, come on. So I'm feeling like I'm feeling a little embarrassed because, I actually remembered exactly the moment. And that happened like maybe 82, 83 while playing hooky. And at that time we were also stick-up kids, so I wasn't sure if like we stuck them up or whatever the case was. And I was like, yo, man, well, please tell him I said sorry. I apologize.
I'm not the same man.
And he's like, yo, come on, we'll take a picture and send it to him. And anyway, he ends up creating a pole in the shop in the stadium.
Wow.
Yeah, and tapes it up red, white, and blue. The wrong blue, but he gives it to me. And the day before, I asked Fat Joe, yo, can we walk out to the runway and dance, or he wants to play the back? He's like, no, stay on the stage and not like the catwalk thing. Yeah. So we go out there, we do our thing. I walk out with the flag. Crowd goes. Insane. Makes a lot of noise, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope!" Like everybody was showing love,
right?
And then, even though Joe said don't go out in the middle. I mean, it wasn't like a rule or anything like that. I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna grab the flag and I'm gonna walk straight out there in the middle. Because I remember when Bad Bunny walked out in the middle of the stage and the crowd gets hyped when you get closer to them. I walked out there and the roar that happened when I waved the flag, it was so dope. Wow. The crowd went berserk, and I'm like, oh shit, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know. Outwardly, I'm like, but in my mind, I'm like, oh this shit is great. This is a moment. This is crazy. So that went a little viral, but one of the dopest things was that there were Latinos who came up to me after, like weeks later, and they're like, yo, we know you came out with the Puerto Rican flag, but that was for all of us. And I was like, word. That's what's up right there. And then I eventually met the dude that I chased out of Botanical Gardens. Because
shout out to him.
Yeah. And then, they told me, yo, it was actually our fault. We were messing with you guys and you chased us out. Like, oh, dope. But I still gave him a little gift back.
That's dope, man. It's a common misconception too. People don't realize, like, hey, just because we was b-boying and dancing and rapping and MCing, that don't mean
don't get it twisted.
In the background, right? Like you said, stick up kid, that was a thing. Like it was a way of survival too. Like
when I joined Rocksteady, when I first met the dudes from Rocksteady crew and started hanging out with them, because a lot of people think I started Rocksteady when I didn't. Right. It was given to me in 1981, but they brought me to go rob somebody.
Wow.
That the first day I met them, and I was maybe 12 years old, and we over here, in the Bronx, trying to catch a Vic. That's what we call them, victims, Vic. Catch a Vic, and we were unsuccessful that night.
That night.
Because it was so desolate. There was no one there to rob.
That's crazy.
But and the thing is, I don't bring that up to celebrate it.
Of course not, right?
Because I think it's about showing people like, yo, this is the desperate situation that we come from. We made decisions to develop our craft that worked out for us. We found out what we did best within this scene, and we kept honing those skills and you're still coming from a dysfunctional and very traumatizing background because of the environment, but you're still pushing along the way. You stumble, you get back up. You stumble, you get back up.
That's part of the journey.
You're doing things you don't even realize why you're operating the way you do, and some of it is your past trauma.
Yeah.
Or experiences. I've been shot at 7 times. My mother doesn't even know that.
That's insane.
And we've done wild shit. A lot of my friends were making big moves, and the result of that was, death
and jail.
In jail. Death in jail. So, and even my girl, she'll look at when she looks at some of the photos of us when we're like 15 years old, around that age, and she's from the West Coast and doesn't understand our environment, and she's like, "You guys are so young, but your faces look like you've lived so long."
Yeah, that's
like the intensity. Yeah, the intensity, the adapting to your environment kind of situation, and it's you see it in our faces.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know exactly what you mean. That's like looking at young Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson at 17 looked like he was 25 years old already. Yeah. Like, he was built like it too.
I mean, he came from Brownsville.
Right,
so
yeah, Brownsville never will. Like, I can only imagine. Man. I be wishing I could go back and just experience what the 80s and that time period was like, the 70s, the 80s, the 70s, especially in New York. Like
I know
you look like you'd be all right, but that's what I tell people when they say that. I probably would have had to stick you up.
I like that. I like that. I always said, listen, if I was in my prime in the 80s, I would have been out selling crack for sure. I would have died or went to jail for sure.
Right.
No doubt.
And yeah, and the thing is that when people, there are a lot of people who are old souls and younger. Yeah. But a lot of them, not everybody, of course, but there are a lot of soft people out there, and I joke around, I goof around, all that stuff. I'm more like happy-go-lucky now than ever. But, I got survival in me. So, I'm going out with a fight. You know, and a lot of people don't understand that. And you know, a lot of people also don't understand, you know, the fact that because we come from the environment that we come from, when I meet you the first time, you may be a fan, and I'll be like, hey, how you doing? I'm still sizing you up a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
I'm trying to see like if you're an ally or an enemy or a hater. I don't really know. Never know. So a lot of people get offended because they think like, oh, you know, I wanted to talk to him more, but he didn't. And it's like, but to me, it's like, yo, he's into it, man. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's cool. I appreciate the love and the support, but let's not get too familiar too soon.
Yeah, it's natural. It's like you said, it's natural because where you come from.
Yeah.
That's just how it's always been. Anytime you interact with anybody, you got to learn them before you even give them too much leeway to be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable the first time you meet anybody. It's too dangerous where we're from. Like, for sure.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I tell people, you know, somebody asked me not so long ago, what was the best thing about the way you grew up? And it was like, shit. Not knowing that it wasn't okay was probably one of the best things.
Wow. Not knowing that this wasn't normal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
because then you go travel the world. You're in Hawaii. You speak you speak some of your life experiences to people, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah,
you do. How many people that died?
Yeah, man. You know, you're waking up hungry, and you know, welfare. You know, that welfare food only lasts maybe 2 weeks, and then you got another 2 weeks of like trying to figure it out as a family.
That's, you know. Wow, and you were able to gain that perspective as you got older, as you gain more life experience. And
yeah, absolutely. Because I had no idea. Like, you know, when people talk, people say some strange shit. They're like, yeah, when hip hop was first created, it was created because of no. Hip hop was a genesis. It, you know, had we had it easy, why there would be no reason for a song like The Message to have come out.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So the natural response to our living conditions and adapting and being creative, although it came out of that horrible situation, was creative, it was still a horrible situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But something dope came out of it.
Wow. Now, have you, throughout your journey and career, was there ever a time where you were, you know, you started making these connections in the industry where you were ever starstruck but with a celebrity or anything? Or, you know, did you ever have that moment where, oh wow, man, this is so-and-so, that's so-and-so, you know?
A meeting, I would say, I've probably asked for like maybe, instead of like, not like people signing their books and all that stuff, but an actual autograph. I got one from Michael Jackson, James Brown.
That's enough right there as a dancer. What those two right there?
Bette Midler.
Oh my goodness.
Derek Jeter. I've only asked for maybe an autograph, legit autograph, 5 times in my life.
Yeah.
But starstruck as a kid when I first learned about Cold Crush Brothers and Furious 5 and I was going to these places that I shouldn't have been in because I was too young and I don't know how the hell I got in them. You know, going to the Disco Fever and seeing Junebug and Starsky and all these other people there, and that to me, because you know there was no possible way at that age for me to be like, wow, can't wait till I meet Reggie Jackson.
Right? Yeah, of course.
You never even thought that was gonna be a thing.
I did meet Reggie Jackson, and that wasn't really cool.
Don't you hate that when you meet the people that you idolize?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I get it.
It's reality.
That's what it is. But he's still one of the heroes out there. He's just, you know, this is Reggie, whatever.
Now you're involved with a comedy club or a comedy club show.
The Carbone
on Father's Day.
Yes.
You know, you want to talk a little bit about that? What you got going on there?
Yeah. So there's a friend of mine, Linda Martinez, who I met through Fat Joe. She's part of like what's called Team Fat Joe. Yeah. I helped her with a mission to Puerto Rico to get like these 4 pallets of goods out there, and we remained friends. And she has an organization called Unidos Productions, and she's also part of a group of women called Her Network. And Her Network, they have a podcast, but they also teach financial literacy to people, young people, women, people who need to understand, with the knowledge you gained in school, this is how you actually start a business and what to expect. So they're doing a lot of things like that. So we all collaborated with our Darnell from Decarbone to do a comedy show. We do understand that there's a high population of Latinos in Patterson. So we're going to bring a troupe of people like Ida Rodriguez, who had a Netflix special. Black Rose, a Dominican homegirl from Washington Heights. Who else? Liza. Who else? Oh man, so dope.
And what the exact day is that? Is that one actually?
That's the 16th.
Oh, so it's actually on Father's Day. Okay, that's dope.
Patterson, New Jersey, Decarbone. People can go on my page, Crazy Legs BX. They'll see the flyer there in the promo. And we're just trying to bring something we're trying to create a situation for women. And this is a general statement. And guys, we talk about it amongst ourselves. Women will get mad at us, but we don't really get love on Father's Day the way we would like to. So
sure we don't.
We're creating something that's very affordable and entertaining. Take your man or take your dad to a comedy show. It's a brunch situation. Show him a nice time.
Wow.
I'm not saying women don't do that, but we need more of that for the dads, because a lot of men do feel undervalued and underappreciated. So, hey, it's an opportunity for women and the children to step up and be like, yo, let's go celebrate that. Let's take that out for the dope meal this time. Of course, the dads that's holding it down.
Of course,
that is super important, though. You're right. And it's something that men don't speak about, like feeling underappreciated. But that's part of what we signed up for, I guess. As we was born into. So it's cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, we get the big piece of chicken. All right.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
But it's also important to, and I'm not sure if this really makes a difference with any kind of economic development in Patterson, but it's a one-off show. Maybe it'll become a series of shows. Doing the PRS Fest is actually going to be annual here for the next several years.
That's dope.
So we're really trying to blow this out into something that will be able to compete with South by Southwest, Coachella, all of that. Also, it's very important for us to do give back as well as make it accessible. Make these events accessible to the public. A lot of the big festivals charging like upwards of $600 and more.
Literally.
And we recognize that we're coming into a community that's on the come up, but also we understand the economics of the community, and to come in here and make it not accessible, and it would be ridiculous.
Right.
We don't want just a bunch of people from outside to come in here who have the money while other people are standing outside. Like, we can't get in there. Like, what's the
It's our own backyard.
Right.
And that's a dope. I love that you guys are doing it in Patterson, where you're only 20 minutes from New York City.
Right.
So you're not too far off, and like you said, you make it affordable. So August 31st, if I'm not mistaken, that's the day of the PRS Festival.
Yep.
I'm excited to see the rest of the lineup. Like you said, you didn't get the
Jungle Brothers, Big Daddy Kane, Cold Crush, Soul Sonic Force, Craig G, Rozelle, Super Nat, Lost Boys. Gorilla Nems, Little D, Moni Love, Ted Smooth, Jibo the Pro, legendary mixtape king right there. Just a whole bunch of people who are coming out. And that's not even the headliners. So,
right. Yeah, that's so dope that you're bringing that type of attention and that type of energy to Patterson, somewhere that has been, it's been not the best economically, and just, not the best area for a long time. And now seeing Hinchcliffe Stadium, which is beautiful. People have to go see it for themselves, man. Like, the museum's out there, and that stadium is absolutely gorgeous and brand new.
And let me tell you, it like yesterday, I was with Orlando, who's the, president of the Chamber of Commerce for Patterson. And he was like, yo, thanks for choosing us. I was like, no, you chose me. Like, I got the call. And they were like, hey, we'd like you to be the one to, explore throwing the first events here. And I was like, all right, bet, let's go for it. So I have to thank, the city of Patterson and the people involved with that stadium, for inviting me to bring something here. And thankfully we could do things that are not just about taking it, but we could also give back. And even on the give back side, we're identifying 50 students who may not have transportation to get to school, and it may be like seniors in high school as well as college students who could use that transportation. But the condition is we're gonna have a health and hip hop thing happening. Those first 50 people that we identify, you got to bring someone from your neighborhood or a family member who needs a health checkup, diabetes, high blood pressure, all that stuff. Let's get them checked out. And on the way out, for you doing that, because of our partnership with the Elisha Project, we're going to give each of those 50 people a mountain bike.
Wow.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
So the stipulation to get this transportation
Everyone
is to
wins.
bring somebody in to get them. Wow, that's man, you're doing God's work. I tell you that. Like, that whole project, obviously not by yourself in this.
No,
but,
never by myself.
Right, it's never by yourself. But man, round of applause, shout out to you guys, because that's dope. That's super dope, because it's so important to key in on the health is wealth, and it's like you guys are just taking the incentive to not only like bless somebody with transportation, but it's like, hey, you never know, you could be saving a life, literally, by being able to identify something that person might not know, and it's free. Like what? That's insane.
And here's the thing. I said we're making it affordable, but don't get it twisted. We're gonna have some amazing VIP areas too.
Of course. Yeah.
But they're not gonna be outrageous,
Of course not. But that's
because there's the ballers amazing out there too. They need love too.
No, for sure.
I love the way that you're bridging the gap in two aspects. You're bridging the gap with the actual local community. That's dope, and I feel like a lot of that gets lost in the translation. And also I like the fact that you're bridging the gap between new school and old school. Where I feel like a lot of the younger crowd is not really tuned in with the old school, don't really know anything about the old school. But now this is a way where the community can get involved and a positive impact there, but also you're bridging the gap between the old school and the new school. And those are two things there where I think it's important to make sure the local community eats, and you're not just coming to Patterson and pricing everybody out and importing people who are not from Patterson. That the city of Patterson is something positive comes out of the city of Patterson, but while also you're teaching the younger generation about the roots of what's going on and the roots of hip hop that they might not even know about.
Yeah, we're also working on having a pop-up with the National Hip Hop Museum. And it's a big possibility that we may have Kool Herc's original sound system on display, as well as a lot of other artifacts from hip hop. And so that should be fun. And leading up to that day, we did the first one last month. We gave away at Patterson, New Jersey. We surprised basically the whole Little League with $112,000 worth of goods, like these $100 to $150 bags of goods of home cleaning supplies, toiletries, things like that, home necessities, and we're doing several of those leading up to it. We did one in Patterson. We got one coming up on Hope Day in Queens. We're gonna do one on July 25th in the Bronx, and maybe one in Brooklyn. And that's like without any kind of like, well, come on out and support. No, like this is what we're doing because we do consider ourselves a party with a purpose, and having a great relationship with the Elisha Project where they allow me to identify a community and be like, hey, they need X, Y, and Z. Let's do this. And all we have to, like, I could bring $100,000 worth of stuff, but all right, let's figure out how to get the transportation. Cost a couple of grand, but the bigger picture is this is how much more we get.
Wow. Yeah, pay it forward. Wow, that's beautiful. The philanthropy that you guys are spewing over into this community, man, that's a blessing. And and like when it comes to positivity like this, it comes back tenfold. So, you know, there's a reason why you just continue to be blessed, and then the whole.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've always, like, for me, because of the way I grew up, I've never done it for the sake of like people like, I'll put it this way, they're like, wow, you must love doing that because you must feel so good. I'm like, actually, I do it because it's necessary. Understanding, I never did it for the idea of what it would make me feel like. And one day while I was in Puerto Rico, it's like 5 months in, I'd done like at least 10 trips back and forth after Hurricane Maria. And it didn't even register to me until like I'm sitting outside a hotel and I'm having some sorbet, and it just hit me out of nowhere. Like, oh shit, we just did some ill shit. It took me 5 months to be like, oh shit, like, and it blew my mind, and I realized like, okay, yeah, there is a good feeling there. Still not the reason why I do it, but when you do have that moment and it hits you on like the success of what you've done and the lives that you saved and the lives that you've made easier, you know, it was a great feeling. Yeah. You know, and like I said, never did it for that, but I know what that feeling is. Yeah. And it ended up being like the best sorbet I ever had in my life. You know, close.
It was a coming to terms moment. Like,
yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, like it really startled me.
Yeah, nah, I can imagine, man. That's a blessing. I look forward to being able to get in the positions where I have the influence and I have the connections to be able to do similar things. So it's actually inspirational just hearing everything you guys got going on.
Very inspirational.
You know? And I look forward to seeing it shine and
thank you.
More and a lot more light being bestowed upon you guys. I know that the event is gonna go crazy August 31st.
Yes.
PRS, you guys, Puerto Rock Steady, you guys are going.
PRS, yep.
You guys are gonna. You're also doing. Once again, I want to make sure that people at home know June 16th. Yes. Carbone, Patterson.
Yeah, look out for the dads, man. Take your dad, take your husband. You know, they may. You never know, man. You may be mad at your husband, but you still have to take him out, and they may get him to sit in the front row, get him picked on.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna get him roasted. Now I'm gonna definitely have to stop by, show some love.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know June 16th. I know I got plans with my son, but if anything, I'm gonna try to bring my dad, or if not for sure, the 31st. I gotta be out there.
Yeah,
because that's gonna be a epic night, especially for Patterson. I look forward to seeing that, man. Crazy Legs.
Thank you.
No, thank you a million times.
We want to say thank you for just even showing up and blessing us with the opportunity and being able to pick parts of your brain, you know.
And for nothing, I know we took a lot more time than you had than you had. So we appreciate it.
I'm just hungry.
We're gonna get you some breakfast or something. Crazy Legs, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
A lot more on the way. PRS is gonna blow up the fest, and then you said you have a contract for the next few years or so. So this is the first one, and then it's only gonna get bigger and bigger. So
we're gonna expand the genres as well. So here's the other thing we're gonna do. There's a lot of black and brown people that like rock, that like metal, and there's a lot of black and brown groups that do that kind of music as well. So we're gonna expand into metal. We'll bring salsa, house music, everything. So it will be a full-on festival.
Wow.
We're gonna even this year we're using new technology, augmented reality, AI, and metaverse. We're incorporating all those things into it because it's part of it is also making sure that you're staying relevant, but also give a platform to those old school heads who need some assistance with maintaining theirs and show them how it could be done. Yeah. So, a lot of people may think, this year's the old school show. Yeah, because it's my response to last year. Right. And I want to do something that's for the lyricists and for the true dancers and the true graffiti artists and all that stuff and the turntablists. But next year it will still include everything. Yeah. So, there's going to be something for everyone. Russell Peters, amazing, legendary comedian, and Destroy, host of Sirius, Shade 45. They'll be hosting.
Wow. You guys got Russell Peters.
Russell Peters gonna be in the house.
Listen,
he's a dope DJ.
Yeah. What? I know.
He's legit.
Listen, I'm a fan of Russell Peters. I know all about Russell Peters from Canada. I've watched all his stand-up for like literally over a decade. I'm a student of stand-up. I love stand-up. So Russell Peters. You just said, I'm like, whoa, Russell Peters. Like, but yeah,
and Russell Peters is a member of Rocksteady crew now.
Yeah, he used to break. I know he was a breaker too.
He was gonna be a b-boy. He told me like, you know, he got into entertainment because he was trying to be like me, and you know, I didn't know Russell until like maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah,
and he told me like he got into entertainment because of me, and he told me like, yo, you know, I met you in the '90s at an event in Canada, and I went up to you and said, you know, Russell Peters, I'm a comedian. And I told him, well, tell me a joke. And he tells me a joke. And I was like, yo, you better go practice, man.
And now he's one of the biggest in the world, literally.
First person to ever have a Netflix special.
Yeah, listen, Russell Peters, listen, y'all know, do your Googles, do your research.
And let me tell you, Russell is one of the best people, and one of the kindest people, one of the most humble people, and he's, you know, he's one of those people when the words hip hop come out of his mouth, he understands every element of hip hop.
Yeah.
I'll put Russell up against any top rap selling artist and he'll smoke him when it comes to the history of hip hop.
Oh yeah, nah, for sure. Once I seen him do it, he had Kid Capri hosting one of his specials. I was like, oh yeah, he's all the way hip hop.
Russell just DJ'd a couple of weeks ago for he did an opening set for Jizza.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's crazy because it's like for him to be
DJing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For him to be one of the biggest comedians, to also be DJ, and to now be coming to Patterson, people, you gotta come out to Hinchcliffe Stadium. August 31st.
Yes.
It's going to be a movie.
I'm
Crazy Legs.
Say no more.
Get them tickets sold.
Crazy Legs, thank you so much.
Thank you again. We appreciate you from the Free Gems Podcast. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes,
appreciate you. It's been a legendary episode.
This has been a treat for you guys. Thank you so much.
A treat for me. I learned a whole lot.
Wow.
So thank you, man. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, thank you.
And don't forget, buy your tickets. August 31st, June 16th. Events going live. We gone.
And we out.
Thank you so much for real, man.